Good evening and welcome to tonight's class. We are continuing, working on building, our environment, deploying Splunk. We are at a place now where, we are building a distributed deployment and we have multiple machines. We are managing, installing Splunk and managing it on these machines. So today, the idea would be to develop a script that we can use to do the initial work, at least to install Splunk or install Splunk and connect it to the deployment server. And now we could just now go to the deployment server and create whatever apps that we need to, send to these clients. So we don't have to manually SSH into all these clients and, do whatever configuration management we need on them. So that's what we are going to work on today. And talking about the script, it's nothing fancy, it's nothing hard, it's not hard at all. It's just basics. What we are doing here is just putting together the commands. These commands. Remember, I shared this document with you guys when we started the doing the Splunk class, that this is what you would go through, if you understand all these commands here and what they do, your Splunk life or journey will be easy. So what we are going to do today is we would pick these commands, put them together in a file, and would then call that a script. And when we are ready now to install Splunk, we would just use that, the content of that file, and use that to install Splunk. So that's basic. And in this case, we have different scripts or script utilities. We have Python scripts that are py. We have bash or shell scripts that are sh. We have different scripting, JavaScript and all of that. Bash and shell scripting are I would say, the easiest and the most common that you can use, because the Linux terminal is the shell or bash terminal, so it's easy for us to, create and execute scripts on that terminal. So that's what we're going to do today. And it's putting together just the commands again. So that's why I told you guys, I'm happy that some of you already said you are in the groove now. You can go through and install Splunk without even having to consult any document. You can do it from memory, and you can even do it in less time now. You don't have to think about it. You can do it maybe in less than 10 minutes, that is good. So one disadvantage of having a script is it makes you lazy. So if you don't know, that's why I say this week is to make your life easy. But making your life easy can make your life even hard, because you make you lazy and you will not learn and just take the easy route. I know people that would do that. So if you're still at a point where you are not comfortable with installing Splunk, all the steps in installing and configuring, the basic steps in installing and configuring Splunk, you are not comfortable with those, don't be dependent on this script. Don't use them. That's why one of the things that I would even do I would show you how to create the script. I'm not going to share the script with you. So you would have to build your own. Just follow the instructions on what we did and build your own script. I can help you test it. If you're done, you're having issues, I can work with you to test it, but you're going to build your own. The idea is, already, you are not struggling with steps to install Splunk. You just want to be able to launch 20 instances where you don't have to do it manually. So that's the idea of a script. It's not to make you not learn how to install Splunk and just be dependent on a script. And then for example, you get a job, they ask you to go, deploy a forwarder, you don't even know how to do it. So that's not if you are at that point, still continue doing it manually, but I'm also build the script. So I'll digress. I'll stop there for that. I hope we will listen to that. Some people, when they get the script, they would never go back to, doing it manually. They would just stick to using the script. So it would use the steps here to have, in shell scripting, you have what is called, that's what defines the script. That's what makes it a script. So what I'm doing here is we're going to use these commands here to then build our document, the script that we want. So you see this document here. This is a document. I just listed steps and comment on how those steps would be executed or what they are. Now, because this one I'm creating here is a script, I have to state that. And in shell scripting, the thing that shows that it is a script is this symbol. So hashtag that. So it is called what, bin bash or what? They have the people. I don't. They have a common name that they call it, but that is what is determining a script. And we know a script is an executable. So it's a file that you can execute, right? So because of that, we know whatever that we can execute has to be related to what? What is the directory where executables are?
Is it Etsy?
Bin.
Remember, Etsy is configurations. So
configuration, okay.
So /bin. So the bin directory is where we have executables. Because this is a bash script, so we say /bash. So this definition here is what tells whatever, when you are applying this is what tells it that this is the bash script. If it was Python, it would be whatever, py or whatever. But this is a bash script, right? And now inside here now is for us to define what the script will do. What do we want to execute in that script? And it's just commands, I'll tell you. So let's start. If we're installing Splunk, right? We know the steps now. What is the first thing that we need to do? We have them here, guys. I just want you, I don't want to just copy and paste.
Create a provision of an instance, correct?
Yeah, so in this case, yeah, we're going to leave this one out. What we want to do is, so
we got it.
The goal is, I want to be able to install Splunk whilst I'm here. I don't want to SSH into the server and then go through the steps. I want to, when I launch the instance here, in one of the steps that I am doing here, down here, if you go all the way down here, there is an option to add a script. So what I want to do is create a script that I will add here and launch the instance. So AWS will launch that instance for me and install Splunk on it. So I don't have to go do it manually. That's why I'm saying this is just to relieve the manual steps. So the part of provisioning an instance, that's just a step. So let's leave that out. So I'm talking about actually installing Splunk. So we know the first thing is we have to create a user, right? So create a user. So I would copy that, just copy verbatim here, copy user or service account. So let's copy that over here. So we're building our scripts now. And one thing, because this here is commented, because I have this in front of it, that is not going to be executed. So that is just, this is just a comment. This is just telling us what our script is going to do. So create the user, and to create the user, we say that's this command, right? Sudo, because we don't know what user would log in with. Most times we SSH with the EC2 user, and we know EC2 is not a user with elevated privilege, so we have to use sudo super user do, and then add user, the name of the user that we want to create, right? And then set whatever. So we'll copy that, sudo add user. So now here we'll add that. Now I would not add any comment in front of it because I want this line to be executed. What I want to even do is call my user Splunk user. So I just want to differentiate the user versus the directory Splunk. So I call it Splunk user instead of just Splunk. So because I see some people confuse the user and the directory Splunk. So yeah, so I've created a user. I did tell you guys that you can create a password for Splunk, but because we are using sudo, most times the password is not needed. So you could get around that. So we don't need to create a password. Hold on for me, guys. It's getting hot here. Let me just turn on my AC, please. I hope that is not too noisy for you. So we've created a user. So that is the first step. What is the next step in installing Splunk? We've created the user.
We CD to temp.
CD to temp.
Download the package.
Download the package, install Splunk.
Sorry?
You download the package, right?
Install the program.
Yeah, install the program, right? But we
Yeah.
have some other steps that we have to
We
follow.
get.
Remember,
Install we get.
so for our system that we've been using, the distro of Linux that we have been using in this class, which is the AWS Linux, right? That version of Linux, we already have wget installed. But that's not always the case. What we are trying to build here is a script that can work for any Linux distribution. So it could be that you don't have wget already existing. And because we are using wget to, at the end of the day, install Splunk, if we don't have it, if we don't have wget on the Linux distribution, then it would not even pass this step. So it would try to use wget to download it. There is no functionality. Boom, the script will break here, and all the other steps would not work. So to avoid that, we want to make sure that that would not happen. So to install wget, if we're using like Ubuntu, if we're using Ubuntu, the app management or package management is this apt-get or apps. And then if we're using a Red Hat Linux or this one like that we're using here, Amazon Linux, then it's yum. So it's either yum install or apt install. So because we don't know the actual version of or distro of Linux we're using, so we're going to do both of them. So I'll do that, copy that. You see here, I'm leaving out this thing because this is not included in my script. So I'll copy that again over. So you're getting the sense here. So well, let's still, so install needed programs. Let's still add that there. Install needed programs. So the script is good that when you have your script, you can also understand it. Like you can, interpret the script, understand this is what the script is doing. So install needed programs, copy that. Now we give that. But what we want to do here is, because this would be a script, we're not there to respond to whatever things. Remember, when I do this yum install wget, it would ask me, do you want to, this program would take this amount of storage space. Do you want to still move on? I would say yes. Because I will not be there to give that prompt, I want to give it now. So I will say dash, yes. That tells it that, whatever prompt that it is giving, it would accept it. So that yes gives it. So, and again, copy the next one now, apt-get, install wget, and then again, give that again, and then dash y. Dash y is just saying if I need a prompt to answer there, just answer yes. So that's good. So now we've taken care of that. So we know we're going to have wget to then install Splunk. Okay, what is the next step?
CD to temp.
Now CD to temp and then download Splunk, right?
Yes.
So now download Splunk. So the thing will be, say, copy the wget link from splunk.com to download the Splunk package. So let's copy that again.
But I thought we usually do the host name.
What do you mean using the host name?
He means like set the host
Set the
name.
host name after we set the
Yeah.
ad user. We usually set the host name at the CTL
Okay.
set dash
So
host, because then it
remember
shows us
why
the
are we
directory.
setting the host name? Again, remember we
Identify.
are doing things, we're doing things for a reason, right? Why do we normally set the host names?
So we
To
gotta identify our
identify-
computers, our
Mhm.
To
instances.
identify the computer, right?
Yeah.
And that's because we whilst we're working, we have multiple screens running, right? So we want, when I come to this tab, I know I'm on this instance. When I go to the other tab, I know I'm on that. But
Okay.
right now, what we're trying to do here, we would not go and SSH into the instances. So it's not needed for us to set host name. That host name that we're setting on the system does not mean anything. That would not be added to anything in Splunk.
Okay.
It's just for our own identification. So because it's not needed, we can add it, but that's not, I mean, it would not change anything. Like that would not do anything to Splunk, okay? We were adding that just for our own sanity so that we know we don't go to an indexer and go add configuration that was intended for a forwarder. So that's why we set those names. So because we don't need it, okay? But yeah, but good point. So that tells that you are looking. So yeah, so we copy the wget link and the install Splunk. So in the steps to download Splunk, we first we have to cd to temp, right? So we say cd to temp. So cd to /tmp. We want to cd to temp, and this is just our own, like we say, this is the best practice. This is what we've seen people do. You don't have to, like your company could, I mean, be installing Splunk or downloading Splunk in home or OPT, whatever works for you. But in our case, we're used to doing it in temp, so we would keep it there. So cd to temp, and then, because I know you guys have asked this question a lot, I didn't add it here in my steps. So you were saying you didn't see that, why? So now we're going to put it in the script, because here we are categorically telling it that go to temp and then download Splunk there. And now we can copy this command here. So again, so let's do here, view what wrap. So again here, sudo wget, which is the utility which we have installed here, and now we are giving it the link to download Splunk. So we are using the wget link to then download Splunk. So it's saying go to splunk.com and go grab this link. So you have to make sure that you have the link. This is a correct link and all of that. You have to make sure that is correct. And put that there. And it could be anything. If I wanted to use a different version of Splunk, I have the different versions down here. If I wanted to use the 9, Splunk 9, I could use this one. Let's say I want to use the latest and greatest, right? Splunk 9 in my script. So we copy that. And then come here. Come on, update that. So instead of that. Okay, it's the whole wget. Okay, so we have that. This is Splunk 9 now. It doesn't matter. So, okay, so let's say we are in temp. We have downloaded Splunk. What is the next step?
What if we wanted to do more than one instance, and then we wanted to do Splunk and do the forwarder as well? Is there a way to do that?
Sorry?
What if we wanted to create more than one instance at a time and have like some of them run the enterprise and some of them run the universal forwarder?
This is good. I was going to wait, do the full instance and then the forwarder, but this is good. Maybe let's do it. Let's do it side by side, and then so we can just run. Let's do that. I think that's even a better idea. So
basically, would it have to be a separate script for the forwarder?
Yes, because the forwarder has different commands.
Yeah, I think that's what he was asking.
Yeah, no, the forwarder needs different commands. So yeah, definitely we need separate scripts. So, but up to this point that we are up to here will be the same. All of this will be the same for both the full instance and the forwarder. We know all of this. You have to create the Splunk user. You have to go and download Splunk. It's just from after when you're in temp now, you know it's a different wget link. So come back down here now. I have, do I have my forwarder link here? So I have the forwarder. Wget, yep, the forwarder. Why do I have two W's there? So copy that. So this is good. Let's do it through the two scripts and then finish with them. So on here now, go to here, paste that. So this is even good that you would now see the differences as we're going. I think that's a very good idea. There, let's grab that. So yeah, so full instance of Splunk, we're here, we're in temp, we have downloaded the package, full instance, downloaded it. It's in temp. The same thing, we've created the user, you know, we have the utility to download Splunk, we're in temp, we have downloaded the forwarder package. Okay, what is the next step?
Is to extract the package.
Fine, extract the package. So I want you guys to speak the language, right?
We need to-
You know the
we need to
command
put
is
a-
star, but extract is what we're doing, right? So
Mhm.
extract
We
the
need to put-
package.
We need
Sorry,
to put sudo on line 13. You left that out.
sorry.
You left the sudo out.
Right. See, guys are paying attention. That's good. Really good, guys. So that could have been an issue there. So the forwarder would not work if we didn't have that. So that's good. Pay attention. So we're building this together. If it doesn't work, it's not me. We would have to come back and troubleshoot why it doesn't work. So pay attention and catch anything that we'll miss. Okay, what is the next step?
Extract the package.
Extract the
do that?
package, and extracting the package, we use the tar command, right?
Yes.
So we are here now. We are right now. We just finished here. This I told you, this is another option to you could download Splunk locally on your computer and SCP it. We saw how to SCP stuff. We saw how we can SCP an app. We saw that already. So it's the same. Now we want to install or unzip the package, right? So we go now. Let's copy that to the OPT directory. So install, so we'll go and do over here again the same. All right, so we want to now install or unzip the package, and the command to do that is the star. So sudo tar, the name of the package, and then -c, we want to put it in OPT, right? So let's copy that. Let's copy that and then fix it. So put that here, and now sudo, I'll paste that over here again. What is the okay. All right. So now what we want to do is untar the package, and we said the command is star xv. It could be zf or xvf. It doesn't matter. We'll just keep what we are used to now, xvf, and the name of the package. So what is the name of the package?
TGZ.
It's the Splunk, yeah, 9 all the way to TGZ.
TGZ.
Yep. So the name of the package is this. That's the
Mhm.
package. So you can easily just copy that and replace it here. So copy and paste that here. That's the name of the package. What did the thing is, I always, I'm used to working in, with the Linux terminal. When you highlight something, it copies. So I mistakenly do that sometimes. I just highlight, I think it is already copied, and I just try to paste. So this is the package. But one thing you don't want to assume. So it is possible that we right now we are supposed to be in temp because we cd into temp and then downloaded the package. So after this command, we are supposed to be in temp, but anything could happen that we are not in temp. So to avoid not, having the situation where you're not in temp maybe, and if the package is not there, categorically say TMP and then /. So you're telling it that sudo tar, go to TMP, look for that package, and then install it. So look for that package and install it. So
Sorry. What
yes.
could that be after we have already given the command, the cd to temp?
So we are cd to temp, we're in temp, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have downloaded the package. So this package should be in temp. It would be there. So it is safe that we could just say xvf tar the Splunk package. It would work. But what I'm doing here, just being very having precaution. I don't want it to fail for anything. I know that the path to my package is /temp. So it doesn't hurt to add that to my command. So in this case, if for whatever the script does not behave according to what I want here, maybe it downloaded Splunk in a different, or it downloaded Splunk in, it could be weird for that, but after here, for some reason, we're not in temp, it's easy that it would, to extract Splunk, you still go to temp and look for the package. So I would just say, just put it there. As long as you're running scripts, so learn this, right? Don't assume. Do the complete path when you're doing a script, because in this case, remember, you will not be seeing this. This will be happening on the, like, when they say something happens behind the scene. So you're not seeing it. So you will not be there to correct it. Like, let's say if you are going through the steps to install Splunk and you do sudo tar xvf Splunk, Splunk package, it would try to extract it. It does not see a package there. You would see the message that it failed, and then would correct it, right? Would maybe look for the package and verify that you are in temp. No, I'm not there. Okay, let me cd to temp, or let me add the path to temp. You can do all of that. But to avoid all that, when you are doing a script, always do the absolute path. Okay, that's a way just to avoid any potential problems that could occur. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so what we are doing here now is, we said we're in temp, we are adding the package. So we are adding the package there. This is good right now. It would look for the exact name. So it has to see this name and then extract it. A way you can avoid this is do it this way. So we can say star and remove everything and say star. What are you saying here? We're used to already using this what is called globing or whitelisting, or what is the other name that is given? This asterisk, it is it is saying, sorry?
Oh. Asterisk.
No, the meaning, there's another name that is given.
Say, oh,
It's globally.
I thought you were asking for the name.
Whitelist.
Yeah, it's globing. There's another name, but let's see if I think about it. But what you're saying here is, I'm looking in the temp directory for Splunk. Whatever comes, if there is a package, if there is something there that has Splunk in the middle, it doesn't matter if something comes before Splunk or something is after Splunk. Just look for Splunk, look for that package and extract it. So this would work. It would look for it. In this case, it would not fail. So let's say it was a Splunk forwarder or whatever. In this case, it would work. But there is something that you should be aware of here. So let's say you have a machine. In our case, it would definitely work because this is a new machine that we're creating, and we know we don't have Splunk downloaded there. This is the first time that we're downloading Splunk, which is this package. So definitely it's going to see just a single Splunk name there and extract that. But let's say it's an instance, like it's a Linux, it's a machine that has been around for a long time, right? And let's say they have a forwarder package installed there, or not even a forwarder. They have different versions of Splunk. You know, Splunk has had multiple versions now. Maybe you had the Splunk Splunk 7 or something in your TMP. Now you wanted to make sure that in this new install, this script, it has to look for Splunk 9.0. In that case, if you want to be that specific, then you have to copy this, right? If you know there will be multiple mentions of Splunk there are other packages that this tar command could mistakenly use. So in this case, it will not even work. So if you have two packages that start with Splunk, if you have one Splunk 9 something and you have Splunk 8 something, when you run this command, it will get here and say, I don't know what you are telling me. I have two instances of Splunk, two names that start with Splunk and has something after them. So you have to be specific. So it would fail here. So to avoid that, you have to be specific enough, copy the whole thing. So right now, in our case, both ways would work. I can copy this and put it there, it would work. I can use the globe in again, that would work as well. So whichever way, I'm just here introducing you to all the possibilities. You can make your life easy and don't have to copy and paste the whole thing. I hope you understand that. Is that clear? Any questions there?
Clear.
Okay. Okay, so because we have this now, so that means this command will still work for the forwarder. So if I come here now, I can replace this whole thing. So now the same thing, remember now, so if I was using the specific things, remember the name, the forwarder package is different from the Splunk, the full instance, right? This is Splunk forwarder, whatever, right? And this here is just Splunk 9 something something. So if because I'm using globe in here, it would still capture this. It would look at whatever package that has something in front of it or not, but that has Splunk, and then forwarder is after Splunk. So it will still capture this. So it will still work. So to reduce whatever, so that you can capture anything, not make mistakes. So it is possible for me to copy until here and mistakenly paste that. So in this case, let's say if I wanted to be exact and just copy this, that would cause this not to work. But if I use this, it will definitely capture this. So this same command captures both this package and this package, which we know are different names. So that's why it's good to be able to, use globing. Clark, I see your hand up.
Yes, I do have a question. So in the case where there are two packages, Splunk packages in the temp folder, and you're using the asterisk Splunk asterisk, does it make a decision? Does it choose one of those packages to run? And if so, is that just based on download date, or what sort of priority does it use, or does it just stop the script from running?
No, it would not run. So if you know you have more than one Splunk packages in the download or the TMP folder,
You have to be specific.
you have to be specific.
Oh,
Or
okay.
you could just look for it and then just say, I don't know what you're asking me to do, and then we'll just stop there.
Sounds good.
Remember, I'll show you this when you're doing if you're doing that autocomplete, right? Remember when you're trying to type a directory and you do that tab complete. So if you're going to OPT directory, and we have a single OPT directory, when you do tab, when you start say OP and you say tab, it will complete it. But if it has more directories that are start with OP, it would not complete. So it will tell you, okay, you have to be a little bit more specific for me to complete it for you. So that's the same here. It's looking for you to give it a little bit more. So if I say Splunk and just add the F, because F makes this different from just this Splunk here. Definitely in that case, if I say F and add a star after it, then if we had a full instance of Splunk and the forwarder package, it would capture the forwarder package because Splunk F is different from just Splunk. So you get it? So you have
Yep.
to be a little bit different.
Okay.
But yeah, good question. Okay, so we have extracted the package. Now we said extract it and send it to OPT. So that's good. So the package is in OPT. What is the next step?
You make
You change ownership.
Change
you
owner,
make
right?
you make Splunk user, you give Splunk directly to Splunk as a user.
Yep. So you see here the way we did it. I say an example. We did the full package, just the package. But I mean, you know now that you can do it both ways. So yep. So now change the ownership, right? So copy that. So we make Splunk. We change the ownership. We make Splunk the user, the owner of Splunk, the directory. So let's there is a catch here. I'll copy this and let's see. So is this command correct? What we have here, is this correct?
For this script, no.
No.
I think we may have to specify the OPT.
OPT has to come in.
We have OPT
Yeah,
here.
bin. Where's the
Oh.
bin?
What are you talking
It needs to be
about?
Splunk user and not just Splunk.
Right. In this case, we created the user. We call it Splunk user, not Splunk. That's why I decided to change the name here. I want you guys to catch this. So this is why I changed the name. So in our original cases, in our here, I said create user Splunk. That's why down here, we are that user, we are giving the user access to OPT Splunk. In this case, we decided to create a Splunk user. That's the name of our user, Splunk user. So here has to be
Splunk user.
Splunk user, not just Splunk. If it says just Splunk there, it would not work. So Splunk user. So it makes sense now?
Yeah.
So what we are doing here is the user Splunk, we're making that user the owner of OPT Splunk, the directory. That's what we're doing here. Okay, and now let's copy this over to here. And okay, I need to copy the whole of it. Okay, is this correct?
No,
What needs to change?
Splunk forwarder.
Splunk forwarder, you got it. So now we know the command or we know the directory where Splunk lives is Splunk forwarder, not just Splunk. So now you have to be specific there. So if you just say Splunk, it would fail again. So you have to say Splunk forwarder. Here, we're making Splunk the user, the owner of OPT Splunk, because this is the full instance of Splunk. So Splunk lives in this. That's the name of the directory, I mean, where the application lives. In our forwarder package, this is the directory where Splunk lives. So that's the difference from here now. That's why in the commands you will see, instead of Splunk, you see Splunk forwarder. So it's good that we're doing this side by side so we can identify the differences and all of that. But this is good. So after here, what is the next step?
Super user Splunk.
Sorry?
You select the super user Splunk.
No, I want you to tell me, what are we doing? You are telling
No,
me how are we doing it.
We made Splunk the owner.
That's what we did here, made Splunk the owner. What is the next thing we are supposed to do?
Switch to the
Executable, right?
Yeah, switch
environment.
user. So tell me that we are now going to switch user, and I'll say, okay, how are you going to switch user? That's when you give me the command. So you see, that's the language. So this is what I want to do, and this is how I'm going to do it. Okay, now, but one thing, because this is a script, we don't have to do that. We don't have to be switching user and back and forth. We have a way to achieve that. So we're going to skip that switching user. We'll find
Okay.
another way to switch user. After switching user, what do we do?
Start the application.
Start Splunk, right? So let's start Splunk. So it says here now, switch user, start Splunk. So let's just take the start Splunk, accept license, and create a user and password. So let's start from here, because we don't need to switch user. So, yep, let's copy that. So I'll have to comment it, then paste that.
I have a question
Yes.
for the when we change the owner. You know how it says OPT Splunk folder. We don't have to put the bin there either because it's an executable. Like we don't have to do that.
If you say OPT Splunk bin, you're changing the ownership of bin, not Splunk. What we are doing is want to change the ownership of Splunk forwarder. When we change the ownership of Splunk forwarder, bin is inside of Splunk, so bin will be changed as well. But if
Okay.
you go and just say I change OPT Splunk forwarder bin, bin would be owned by Splunk user. Splunk forwarder will not be owned by Splunk user. Right now, what I'm doing here, I'm changing OPT Splunk forwarder. Splunk forwarder will be owned by the Splunk user, but OPT will not, because this is what I'm telling it to do. So if I go another level and say bin here, now I'm saying I want to change the ownership of bin, not Splunk forwarder, and that's not what you want to do here. Okay? That's clear?
Yes, sir.
So now we're going to start Splunk. So let's come and get the command. What is the command to start Splunk? You say switch to user. So we have to switch to user. Yep. But we will find a different way to do it. So let's copy the command first. So copy that command, and here we're going to then paste that command. And now because again here we are going to do it via a script. You know, remember when we're starting Splunk, when we click it, it would ask us to accept the license, and we say Q, you know, read the license, Q, and then type the username and password and all of that. But we are not there to accept the license and do this. So we have to tell it here that in the script that, okay, all that thing, just accept it for me. So we would add here a flag that say dash dash, not 3 dashes, accept.
Let's do.
Accept and then dash license, LICEN. Okay, license is there. Accept license, and then now you want to again now say remember when the
Print
thing
username and password. Is it gonna do that?
so remember when you press start, right, it goes and open the license, you then accept it, right? When you say Q, you read and accept the license, you're saying now accept license. You have to, how do you want to accept it? The options are either yes or no, so you have to tell it this is yes. So I say dash dash answer in SWER, answer is yes. So answer equals yes. So I'm saying I want to accept license. The answer I am giving is yes. So that's thing there. And now I'm telling Splunk that I don't need any prompt. So I say dash dash again, no further prompt. So no prompt. PROMPT. No further prompt. So
I thought I had to create the admin.
So yeah, we're getting there.
Oh, okay.
So no prompt. And now to create the admin user now, I would give this thing now. I say dash seed. So SEED, that is a utility again in Linux, seed, and then say password. So seed would create that admin user. So seed is the, I mean, that would say user admin. That's the default. You know, in Linux, always the user is admin, right? So that seed will create the user admin, and I say PASSWD. We know PASSWD is for
What do
password.
you think? Are we switching, or do you think I should just not?
Is someone asking a question? Okay, yeah, please, if you you can mute yourself if you're not asking a question. So I'm saying now create the user and then password, whatever. I have said here that I want my password to be Splunk 18, right? So I'll copy that. So in the comment, I state that I want the password to be that. So that's what I'm going to paste there. So again, OPT Splunk, bin Splunk start. Yes, okay, it's going to give me that thing. Yes, accept the license and then answer yes to that. And then don't give me any further prompt, and then create that user admin and give it this password. Is that clear what we did there?
Yep. So which means that whatever password you want to use,
Yeah,
that's
whatever
what
password you can. This is where you set that password. You know, the password where the password that you would use to log into the Splunk web. This is where you want to set it. If you want to set any password, this is where you set that. But in front of this command, because one thing, because we're doing a script, every command that we would be running, we will be running it as admin level, so as the super user do. So all the commands have to have sudo in front of them. So that's just, you cannot avoid that, because here we don't have the option to switch back and forth. So we'll say sudo in front of it. And now, because this is a command, this command is used to manage Splunk. We're starting Splunk. We have to do it as the Splunk user, right? So this is when you would add the flag dash U, which is for user, and then state the user that you want. So copy that, put it there, state user. So what am I saying here? Sudo is the same as sudo su switch to user. So that's what I'm doing here. Switch user, but here I'm not switching. I'm just saying whatever command I'm trying to run, I want to run it as this user. So that's what I'm saying in dash U, the user is Splunk, and then the command is opt Splunk, accept, you know, ACC. I'm just want to make sure I don't miss the spelling. Accept ACPT license. Please catch that if any spelling is wrong here, it would not work. Answer yes, and then no prompt, and then seed, yeah, password PSSWD, and the password that we want. So that is the command to start Splunk. Start Splunk and accept the license. So I'm going to copy this over to the forwarder package, and let's fix it over there. Okay, so what do we need to fix here? Is this command correct here?
The forwarder.
Splunk forwarder, right? So yep, so that's the only difference in the command, Splunk forwarder. Instead of Splunk, we say Splunk forwarder. So
and you check also the exclamation mark for the Splunk 18, the password.
oh yeah, I left that, right? Thank you. Yeah, do I have it over here? Okay, yeah, I just left it. So yeah, so we have that. If this is true, Splunk should start. All that good. Are you guys following?
Yep.
Do you guys agree right now? So you can see here that it's just these steps that we're putting together, right? We're just putting all the steps together now, saying I want to then be able to run this thing, and it would install Splunk for me. That's all we're doing here. So we're here now where we have come and you know, started Splunk. That's good. And now we want to set the host name, set host name and server name and all of that. That's good. One thing that I want to do first is enable. So again, if this is an indexer, enable listen. So we have not decided what it is here. If it is one of the things, we'll do that. But why are we using a script? It's because we're doing multiple machines. So all these other things I would enable on the deployment server itself. So if it's a forwarder, add all of that I don't want to do. If this is a forwarder as well, make it a deployment server. Okay, that's good. This I'm going to do later. And enable WebSSL if you need the web. Enable boot start. So I want to do this one first. Enable boot start. So boot start is the I explained this already, is the instructions that you give to the operating system that whenever you stop for any reason, if you shut down, when you start up again, please don't forget to start this application up. So we're going to copy that over and just do it. So remember, I told you this is a housekeeping. You want to always enable that when you're doing your Splunk, you know, installs. So not to forget it, after you've started Splunk, make it the next step. Just enable boot start. So paste that also here. So we enable boot start. And we know the command to enable boot start is the opt Splunk enable boot start -user and then the user that we want. So I'll copy that. Copy that over. And now, so from what you know now here, from the sequence or whatever pattern that we're using here, what do we need to change here on this command? What do we need to change?
Splunk user.
Okay, Splunk user to what?
So
Splunk forwarder. I'm a Splunk user.
Splunk underscore user.
Underscore user, okay. That's one. So so under here I say underscore user, right? Okay, what other thing do I need to change?
Okay, you need to remove bin.
Sorry?
Remove bin, I think.
Where?
With
Here?
Splunk user, yeah. Is that, no, I'm just,
No,
Yes.
remember this is the path.
oh, yeah.
So we
Okay.
don't need to change that.
Yeah, that's okay, yeah.
So, but there is one thing that we need to add here, and we've been adding it in all our commands.
Sudo.
Huh?
Is it
Sudo.
Sudo, yep.
Uh-huh.
Remember, everything we have to do as a super user. Let's use sudo. So now, because I am referencing the user over here, I don't have to say you here. So that's why that's the difference here. I am running the command. I want it to be started as root, but at the end of the day, I'm assigning everything now to Splunk user. Is that clear?
Yeah, so we can switch to root before we do this because normally we're supposed to switch to root, right?
Yeah, because the this is a system level command. This you're telling the system, the operating system, to remember to be starting up Splunk. So that's why you are doing that. And here we know now it's all Splunk forwarder. Okay, so that's good. Okay, what is the next step? In the basic steps, what do we do? So the other thing we can do, if we go back here, is and right now here I'm just picking the important ones. The other ones, it's not that they're not important, but most of these things now we will do on the deployment server as we have started identifying that these are all things we don't want to run commands for anymore. Because enabling boot start, that is a system level command. So we want to take care of that already. So that's why I'm doing that. The only things that need to be done on the machine is what we're doing. Everything else we're going to take care of later. So that's all I need to take care of there. What other thing do I need to do? What don't I think have to do here? on the
Do we
machine.
still need to create a user and password for this Splunk?
It's already created.
I already created that.
The
That's
server name and host name.
yeah, server name and host name. So that's the password. This is setting the admin password, and that's
Okay, that will cover the whole thing.
yeah, that's the user, which is admin, and that's the password. So that takes care of that. So now it's setting the server name and host name. So let's see. So setting server name and host name is this. So let's copy that, all of that, and go fix it. Okay. So we're going to fix it now here. So the command is opt Splunk. You know, I'm going to take out this and we know now that we need to have sudo there and -u, and then the user, right? -u, which is the user, Splunk user. So we need to have that in the both of the commands there. And I can copy this. Okay, so I need that. And then what are the things can I change here?
The server name.
Yeah, I have to give it the server name. So one of the things that we would do here today is set, you know, different ways, dynamic ways of doing things. So instead of having manually create the server name, always having to set the server name here, instead of having to do that, what we can do is we can define a variable, you know, and then make that variable set the server name, and then we can then be, doing now changing it. So when we want to change whatever name, we can just change the variable name. So what do I mean? So let's I'm going to come back up here. So normally when you want to set variable, you set it at the top level, and then we would reference that variable. So let's set some variables. So let's say set. So let's say set host name variable. Set host name variable, right? And under it, all we want to do is define a variable and give that a name that we want. And I can call it, I can say here, host name. Okay. No. Let me give it uppercase. HOST host name. So that is my variable. Now I want to give this variable a value. So this is where I would be changing. I don't need to change down here, but you would see it. So I want to give it a value. So I say my value has to be in quotations, in double quotations. This is where now I would set, normally my host names have to be start with Sadija. I say Sadija, and then dash whatever I want. Let's say this was my deployment server, right? Sadija dash DS. And then I can, if I wanted a random number to be generated, you know, I can keep it this way, but let's say I want in the case of when I'm creating searches or indexers, I want multiple searches to be created or multiple indexers, and I want them to have different names. Like after Sadija IDX, I want let's say maybe this is an index. If I say IDX, I want a number to be generated out of that. But I don't want to say 01, 02 because I will not be coming here and changing it. So I want it to change by itself. So what I'll do is add another function that would generate a random number for me. And that function is just, again, this is the function. So we say that and say random. So we call it the random. That's the random function. So I am saying my name should be Sadija IDX, and whatever number that is generated after that. It could generate, it's a 4-digit number. It's just a random number that is generated. So the good thing now is I have defined this variable here. I can easily down here now, instead of having to always come and set my host names here, what I can do is now just say, set that and say, okay, remove that and reference my host name. So the variable I've created here, I am now calling that variable. So hostname equals Stadija something. I'm saying here now, I want my server name to be named whatever name I give to this variable. If I change it later, yes, use that name, whatever name I give to that. So that's what I'm saying there. So same thing for here, because you know these two names are the same, right? Give it there, $, and then paste the name of my variable. Okay, that's good. But
So the host name at the up there is supposed to go with a sudo.
no, up here, I mean, we don't need a sudo. Up here is just this is just remember, this is not a Splunk command. This here is not a Splunk command. This is just on the system. So I could set it as EC2 user. It would not fail. So why are we using sudo? Is if we're running a command that maybe the user we're executing that command as does not have the permission to execute that command. That's why we're doing sudo in front of it. But EC2 is a user in the system who has, I mean, access to create files and do some things by itself. So it's able to create, I mean, a variable. So we don't need a sudo. If I was running a system level command, then yeah, I know my EC2 user cannot execute that command. Definitely, I need a sudo in front of it. So now the other thing that I would need here now is because in creating my in creating this is a script, right? When I'm running this again, I always go back to this, that I will not be there when the script is authenticating or when this script is being executed. I will not be there. So I want to find a way to be able to make sure that it can surely be authenticated. Like the script, when it's running, it would be able to run, and it would not ask, for example, you know, sometimes when you're running a command in Splunk, right? When you're running a command, it would ask you for a password. Do you guys agree? It would ask you to log in, state the Splunk username and admin, and then state the password, right? So let's see. Do you guys agree when, like, sometimes after you've restarted your machine and you say you run the command to set deploy pool, right? It would ask you for the username and password for the Splunk user, right? So that is a possibility. Because that is a possibility, and we are not there. If that comes up for us to give the username and password, we're going to provide it. That's why this is where now, that's why the script is not advised to be used in production. Because what you're doing here, let's first provide the password. So what we're saying is we provide now, we add a flag that say, I mean, we're saying authenticate. So auth, which is AUTH, auth, and then give the whatever the username and password. And we know our username is admin. And so ADMIN, right? And then the password, colon, and the password is this. So there should be no space between them. So what I'm saying is, run this command. When you run the command, if you need to authenticate, this is my password, this is my username and password to validate that, because I'm not there to give that if it is needed. So I'm going to provide it here. What would happen when this command runs? This username and password will be visible on your terminal. Like if someone goes in and check your profile, your bash profile, they would see all the commands. If they can do history on you, they will see all the commands you ran. So because you ran a password, a clear text password, you run it on the command line, that is right there, security. If you do this on production, they can fire you for that. So that's why this is because it's our test environment, we're okay to do it. I don't want to confuse you too much. There is a script that we can do where we would have to provide the password. We can do that later. Let's say I can give that to you by the end of the class when you guys are more comfortable with, Splunk and everything, where it would ask you to provide the password and you provide it. In that case, the password will not show up on your command prompt. But for now, we would use this script. So we'll just paste that there again. So what I was
Question.
taking here. Sorry?
Yeah, question.
Yes.
So with this script now, if you are to generate like 50 machines, all of them will be the same username and password.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. If you use the script to generate 50 machines, all of them will be that.
Okay.
So yeah, so we are saying run this command as the user Splunk, set, run the OPT, set server name, and then use the variable that I defined here. Whatever I'm giving in here is what you would have for that variable. So whatever is here. So this name here will be replaced by Sadija IDX and the random number. The same thing for this one. And then I'm saying if you need to authenticate, so that's why I say auth, admin, and then Splunk 18. So same for that. So we have set the server name and the default host name as well. So what next can we do here? What is the other thing? So after setting the server name, the host name, so I would say we don't want to, this is not material, this is system command. We don't want to enable listening. This we'll do on the deployment server. That's why we are connecting that. We don't want to do this. So right down here, it tells us that enable boot start. So if it's a forwarder, and I have already explained to you that forwarders are what technically would, the deployment server would manage, right? But again, we know that the deployment server can manage other instances that are not in a cluster. So I am saying set deploy pool. So if this was like a client, I want to connect to my deployment server, I will set deploy pool. So let's do this. I'll copy this command and let's go edit it and fix that. So let's do that. So paste that there. Okay, so make it a deployment client. Let's just remove all of this. So make this server a deployment client. And then now we would remove this. We know again now that we need this sudo, that user. So copy that. Add it in front of there. And then we say opt Splunk, set deploy pool. We know here now we need again the whatever the URI, the IP address of our deployment server, right? And then column port 8089. This is what we'd use to connect to our deployment server. So we can again define a variable for our deployment server. So it's easily, we don't have to come here and change the IP always. I can set that variable here. So let's say set host name and so DS, so call it DSIP variables, right? DSIP variables. So I would copy that. And this does not have to be this, like you can call it anything as long as just make sure that whatever you're defining here is what you are going to use. So I'm just going to say that DSIP, that's my deployment server IP. If you wanted to spell it completely, deployment server underscore IP or whatever name is good. Just make sure you're defining that. So I say that equals, again, in quotations, my deployment server IP. It could be any IP. So for right now, because I don't have any IP, I could just say 0.0.0.0. Leave it. We'll change it later. Now, to use that variable, I can, okay, I've copied this already, but I come down here now. You get the logic now. I can come here now and say $. So now when I want to change, when I have a new deployment server, I'll just change the IP here. That would be referenced here. So that's what we want. And then now, I mean, we've done the basic thing. So the next thing I want to do now is just after doing all of this, I want to restart Splunk. So at the end of the day, you want to always make sure you restart Splunk. So if anything is hanging, remember, for your settings to be loaded in memory, you have to restart Splunk. So at the end of all your configurations, restart Splunk. Remember, that's what we do always. So then restart Splunk. So I will run this command. So Splunk.
Do we have this on the right one?
Sorry?
Do we have this on the right one?
Yeah, we are going to fix it now on the right one. So let's just finish it here and we'll just copy them over. Can you hear me?
Right. Yeah, because I was looking at
now,
Splunk.
and then we'll say then restart Splunk or restart Splunk D. Restart Splunk D, and we know that should be that OPT Splunk restart. And then, okay, one thing that I even forgot here, this authenticates, I need it again to be added everywhere. So I need it here. So if it's needed, I need it there again, I need it there. So again, run the command, set deploy pool, deployment server IP, authenticates, and then here, at the end of the day, restart Splunk. Okay, so there is even, I don't intend for this to be a Splunk forwarder, so definitely that's not a Splunk forwarder. Okay, so let me do this first, huh? So let's go back.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. I was like,
yeah. So let's see where we are here. We are at the boot start. So now after that, I'll copy this over here. And let's come and fix this first, right? So this here, we know it should be OPT Splunk, but here we have OPT Splunk forwarder. So I want to remove that. OPT Splunk forwarder, remove that. So that's it. Here is Splunk. Okay. And then now here.
1 second, please.
Huh?
What do you say the Splunk D stand for, please?
Splunk daemon. So Splunk is the process that runs Splunk. That's the Splunk daemon.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, OPT, Splunk forwarder. Make sure everything on the forwarder here says Splunk forwarder. We want to not forget that. All the commands say Splunk forwarder. So now I need to again copy this over here. And now because I know this is a forwarder, so definitely I say here dash UF. If it's a Linux UF, I just say Linux UF. So I say Linux dash UF. So this is how I name my machines. When you see, you know, sometimes it's so when I say I use scripts, this is the simple script that I use. So Linux UF, so Sadija Linux UF and all of that. So I set that, and that is it. So restart. Yep, it is going to restart. So this is the basic things. So This is our script. This is our script. We're going to test it now because, I mean, just writing it does not matter if it does not work. So we have to prove that it works. If it doesn't work, then it's no need for creating it.
Can
One
I
thing-
ask one question? One more question.
Yes.
Is it an order that the variables has to be at the upper second line of the script?
No, it's just in scripting, that's how it has been. You create the variable and then refer to it. Okay, I cannot reference the variable. I cannot reference the variable here and create it down here. You have to first have the variable before you can reference it. So that's why, because I'm going to reference it down here, I'm creating it up here. Okay. So it can be anywhere until for like this host name. This host name can be on any of these lines until here. It just cannot be after this. If it's under here, then if I'm referencing host name, if it doesn't see it all the way here, then you will say it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So that's why, just easy, just put it on top. Clear?
Clear.
And we know here one thing, if we are setting anything here, so this here is just the most basic script, right? We know all these commands. That's why for you to, understand these commands and what they do is good. If you wanted to enable forwarding, you wanted to test something, don't want to use the deployment server, you can add that to your script. Just know, how to add it. When you add it, for me, I have a single script that does everything. So I have a script that is so long. What I do is, when I'm trying to do a thing, I just enable what I need. So for example, I know right now I am creating my first server should be my deployment server. So there is no way, I am setting the deployment server IP on the deployment server itself. I'm not making the deployment server a client of itself. So I don't need this right now. I can easily leave this open. So it's two ways. I can set this or leave this open, or down here, this command that says set deploy pool, I can just come here and comment it. Commenting that tells me that this is not going to be used. So it's easier, do this commenting, leave this one open. So I'll leave this here. This variable is defined, but because it's not being called anywhere, so it doesn't matter. Even if I define anything there, I'm not using whatever I defined. So that's okay. So for now, because I know my first server, it will be my deployment server. So let's call it DS. So it will be Sadija DS random. So that's my first server. And I'm trying to install Splunk and set it on that. Let's hope all of this is correct. Set the host name and then restart. So moment of truth.
You have to remove the comment, this thing at the tail end. After sudo.
Where?
I think before restart. Up one more.
This?
No, go one more
This?
up. Yeah.
No, I intentionally did it.
Okay.
I'm saying that this server that we are creating is the deployment server. Remember, the deployment server is the server and everything else is the clients that connect to it. So this server would not need to be a client of itself. So that's why I'm creating the deployment server, and after that, I would create other servers that will connect to it as now clients. So that's when I would enable this. So intentionally, I'm commenting this right now. And this is just to show you that you can have other commands here. You can add other commands. Just make sure when you don't need them, just comment them.
Okay.
So now what I'll do is now copy the scripts. So you can save it and call it your, full instance. You can add all the commands and call it your master scripts. So I can copy this now. Now I can come here, just make sure this thing is active. So maybe go back, just refresh there. Okay. I call this my Sadija DS DS, right? And as the same is Amazon Linux. Yep, I want it to be a little bit stronger, T2 medium, set my key, test key, and set my security groups. All that is the same, it doesn't change. All this is the same. Increase that. The only additional thing I'm doing here, all along, we are not coming down here to advanced. So now I'm going to go to advanced, go all the way down where it says here user data. It says it's optional, but I'm going to use it. If I wanted to even upload the file, like save that file and upload it, it would work. But I mean, I'm just used to just copying it and pasting the script. So I copy it, paste the script, make sure it has this bin bash and all of that. The script can work. That's that. Make sure it is working fine. Femi, I see your hand up.
Yes, sir. If you're gonna have to create like multiple forwarders or multiple deployment servers, is there a way to specify that on the script?
This is where you specify it.
Okay.
Multiple, I do 1 or 2 or 3. This is where I think I'm, instead of doing yeah, so I can say 2, 3. This is where you specify how much you want on the script. On the script, you just, if you're creating multiple, that's why I'm adding this random number to it. So if it has multiple, it would, all of them would say Sadija -ds, and then another, the number will be different. But if I didn't have the random number, I have 2 deployment servers. Both of them will be called Sadija DS. I don't want that. So that's why I'm adding this random number generator there. But yeah, but this is where, but for deployment servers, we don't need more than 1. We just need 1. Remember, it's 1 management instance. It's the other ones that would need multiple. So this is just 1. I don't see any case. When our environment is really large, we can use multiple, but right now we just need 1. So let's launch this. So we would wait for this. Remember, when you are, dealing with EC2 for Amazon to AWS, for even to create the machine, it would take a little bit. So here, all the steps that we'll do, go SSH into it, go create the user and all of it, it would do it for us. It's just going to do it back end. But that's going to take a little bit. It's going to take at least 5 minutes to maybe 10 minutes. So you would need to give it time. At least wait for it until you see here that it passes the check. After it is done initializing, the checks are passed, then give it like 3-4 minutes. Then it would go through and run the script. After 3-4 minutes, 5 minutes, you can, the way I test it, I just come to the server, just come to the web. This is a full instance of Splunk. So I know if everything worked correctly, I'm supposed to come here and be able to log into that machine. Right now, it's not there, but we're going to wait for it. This is the moment of truth. If our script is correct, if we didn't make any mistake and it didn't have any typos, it should install Splunk for us. So let's wait for it. Any questions while we wait? Again.
I have a question on the script, Saidu.
Yes, sir.
If it's possible, can you flip back to it?
Yep.
Okay, on line 27, well, you have the 2 dashes. Is that just a separate? You have 2 dashes right in front of accept and then answer and seed. Is that just a separator, or is that some sort of acceptable syntax for when you're doing the license?
That is the syntax. So you see, you're saying dash dash. This is, in you have what we call key value pair, right?
Right.
So we have the key. So the key is answer. Your answer, that's why you're saying dash dash. The answer, the value that you're giving for that answer is yes. It could have been no. So you're saying dash dash, which is the like we say in Splunk, we have field and value. So the field is answer, and then the value inside of that is yes. Again, this other field here is no. I want no prompt. And then, yep, inside here seed, and then a password. So that's why you have dash dash to differentiate that. This is the value, this is the field, and that's the value.
Okay, so the 2 dashes represent field, and the 1 is like value.
Yep, that's just the field here, accept, accept. What are we accepting? License.
Okay.
Answer,
if you had
what
one-
are we given? Yes.
If you had one dash in front of that except, it's not gonna run that script properly then.
I think so.
Okay.
Even, I mean, you have when I found out for a lot of people, okay, I will say this was a shocker for even, I think, for a lot of people that I met in dealing with Splunk. A lot of people, this is how they used to install in Splunk, right? They would run the command. When they're running the command, they will say start, and then it would give them the license, and they will press the enter key. Like they will have to press, it will stay there for like 3-4 minutes to go through the whole file, read the whole license, like, and then do that enter that return key, right? Do until it reads the whole file, and then say yes after it and finish it. Or if you don't want to do that, where you read the whole file and say yes, that's when after the command, even if you're doing your steps, you can add this: accept license, answer yes, no prompt, and then it goes through. So you can do that in your command. I think in my research, I identified that you don't need to, because this, I feel like this is more typing all of this, right? I could just say start, and then when the license come up, I say Q. Q would just skip the whole reading and take me to the end of the license, and I say yes.
Right.
I think, I mean, when a lot of people do not know that when I'm working with them, when I install Splunk and just say Q, they say, what did you do? Used to type in this. Some people know it, but it's just, I mean, different tricks. But yeah, this is the command. If you wanted to type a command and tell it to accept the license where you don't have to do it yourself, this is how you do. But I just see as easier clicks than if I type this command, start, and then press Q, and then Y, and then done, rather than having to type all these characters. I see this as harder than doing the other way. That's why I do that way that you see. But both ways work.
All right. Thank you.
Yep, good question. So our machine is up. Let's see if it's done installing Splunk for us. It's not done yet. Or maybe it's not correct. Let's just still give it a little bit. Still ask your questions, guys. Let's give it 3 minutes. If in the next, 3-4 minutes, it doesn't start up, then I'll start worrying that, maybe it didn't do what we expect. That's when we, most times, your first time creating the script, you would have to troubleshoot. Maybe something would not work. You go check where it breaks, where did the script break, what did not work, and then you would fix that. But it's part of the work. Questions while we wait?
I've seen that if the instance you've created, if it has an error, means it will not even go to the stage of installing Splunk.
If the instance has an error, what do you mean?
That is, after creating, maybe in the security group, there is something that you have not done correctly, means the instance will not even pass the check, means it cannot even go to the stage of installing Splunk, means you have to go back and troubleshoot to fix the instance.
Yeah, the instance have to be ready for it to install Splunk, definitely.
Because the script is only for installation of Splunk.
Yep, and the machine has to be ready. Remember, what you're doing here is creating a machine, a computer, and then installing a program on that computer. So the computer has to be ready first before you can then install a program on it, right? So yeah, definitely. But yeah, let's give it a little bit. Sometimes the script takes a little bit. I did copy it, right? That's the correct
I think you did.
make sure. Yeah, that's correct. No questions?
Thinking.
You guys understand the script? go through the script, guys. See, maybe you can identify any issue that we had there that we didn't do. Let's look at it here. So sudo add user, Splunk user, duplicate, sudo duplicate install, xvf, extract Splunk. Splunk is extracted. Yeah, sudo change Splunk user. Okay. Now opt Splunk bin start accept. Then we would start. So if it even got to this point where it was started, even if these other things did not work, we should still see it on the web. So if we got to this point where we got this correct, all these commands is started, then we should see it on the web. Bin start. See, you still. Yeah, if it's actually really not coming up, then the thing to do now is SSH into the instance and see where the break happened. Server name. Okay. Does it look like you are coming up? Okay, so whilst we're waiting for that, to try to SSH into this machine. So we copied it already. Let's try to SSH in here and be watching what is going on. All right. So in troubleshooting, so first of all, we ran the commands. First, we said download Splunk. So let's verify if Splunk was downloaded. So we say ll temp. Let's see. So yep, so it did go and download Splunk. So we know the wget thing, all that worked correctly. So now, yes, was Splunk extracted? Now let's verify that as well. And how do we verify if Splunk was extracted?
CDOPT.
Huh?
It's OPT.
LLOPT.
LLOPT, right? OPT. Yeah, Splunk is here. And we see it sets the user. It looks like it did extract Splunk and said the user is Splunk user. That is correct. So looks like we are setting there where, okay, so let's it look like we got, so let's change now. So we know that the script went through and at least extracted Splunk. So let's see if it was able to start Splunk. So we switch to Splunk user, right?
Mhm.
SPLUNK underscore user. So Splunk user. And now we want to test if Splunk is running. OPT Splunk. So bin Splunk status. TUS. So Splunk is not running. So this is where something broke. It didn't start Splunk, or it starts Splunk and okay, so Splunk is not running. So there is something. Yeah, so we know Splunk is not running, right? And we see that Splunk is owned here. So let's do Splunk. So Splunk is not running. Let's say Splunk start. So it did start. Let's see. Interesting. So Splunk was installed. I'm curious what happened here. So let's say so the script did what we asked it. So you see the password, the username and password that I gave to when it was starting Splunk, it did that. It gave all the correct things. Let's see. I think it's a very simple thing that happened here. Let me see if it sets even the host name and
server name.
look at that. It did set the host name and server name. So let's come to the script. There is something here. Restart. Is it in the restart sudo? Choose Splunk user. For some
Right,
reason,
do you think our enable boot start command went through?
the boot start command.
Yeah,
We
because
can check that. We can test that.
yeah.
We can test that. How do we test that? You know?
We can check from the configuration file, right? You see
Yep.
on
What
server.conf. Server.
not server.conf. Anybody?
You could VI, I think it's in system local, I guess.
No.
Or okay, hold on. Hold on.
So I'm trying to see. So this the script, it worked onto here. I did all of this. This we have not tested, but we know this was done. It set the server name and host name. It's just down here. Maybe it tried to restart, stopped, and did not come back up. That's why Splunk is not. So all we needed to do was just start up Splunk again. So to check if our, if the boot start worked.
VI.
No, when you're checking something, you don't need to VI. When you are editing
Sorry,
something,
cat.
yeah.
I mean cat. Sorry.
Cat.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I
was just distracted.
Okay. Cat where?
OPT. Splunk. Bean.
No, why are we going to
No,
Bean?
Etsy, sorry.
Is there a configuration file in Bean? Yeah, Etsy.
This system or search?
No, so the file, the configuration file that is responsible for, the setting the, the system name and all of that is splunkLaunch.com. So it's Splunk-launch.
Don't go. Okay, sorry.
Oh, it did. So you see here, set the OS username to Splunk. So it did enable boot start, because this is what would happen when boot start is enabled. This is what, because we told the system that go make sure that whenever this machine stops and it starts up, start it as the user, Splunk user. So it did went through and enabled that. So that's why it was set here that the OS username is Splunk. So that was enabled. The only thing is at the end, it's the restart command. The restart, it could just be a bug there because everything worked. It's the restart. It looks like it came here, stopped, and then did not start up. That's all, because everything worked until there. But let's try. So now we have set our deployment server. This is our deployment server. I can copy this and make it my deployment and just set the name there.
Right. I did take a look at something on your script just now. Does the space in the path matters on that last script?
Okay, one moment. Let me just save this quick and then let's go. Yep. So where?
Okay, so it's just Splunk user and then space. Okay, so no, that's right. You have Splunk user. Yeah, I thought that was part of the path, but no, it's not. You're just referencing the Splunk user.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Restart. Okay, so what we will do, we'll try another one. So our deployment server is working. If I go to my forwarder management, there is nothing there right now. So what I want to do now is enable, create maybe either a forwarder, or let's create an indexer, two indexers, and make them, connect them to the deployment server. So this is why the host name, setting the host name variable is good. So now all you need to do is just come here and change. I say IDX, and now it's going to create for me IDX and add a random variable there. Now, because I have a deployment server, I want to be able to connect to that. So I come and copy the IP address of my deployment server and update that here. That is my deployment server. Remember, I am referencing it here. So this is when I am now going to enable this. So I'm saying create yourself as a machine, connect to the deployment server. So let's see if this would work as well. So we're calling this, we'll create just two indexers.
Will you not change? I said, wait, are you not going to change online 37? Are you not going to change the DSIP?
Where? So
Line
DSIP,
37. Yeah.
that is a variable that we're calling. This is where we've changed it. So DSIP, that's the variable, right? And we say that's the value for the variable. Now we're just calling the variable here.
All right.
So that's why we use this pattern of calling the variable. We could have just add the IP here, easy. I mean, but if you want to not worry about coming to change the commands here, set the variables and then just reference them in the command. So now I just change the DSIP here and it is then referenced down there. Clear? So let's try again and see. Okay. So we're going to launch two more instances. So now I'll say Sadija dash IDX, and then all the other stuff is the same. Okay. Right. Set my, I think, yeah, my IDS, that's good. And then I want two indexers. I want two indexers, good. Then let's launch that. If I come back here now, I have two indexers of this same name. I would just now change it here. Say here 01. So this is how normally I do my scripts, and then just change it here 02. So I could like 20 minutes to class and set up my environment and get it ready before we start. But let's wait for this to initialize and see if it will still fail to start. So let's try the forwarder script. So forwarder again. So this is our deployment server. Okay, UF, that is random there. Everything here should be good. Restart sudo -u Splunk user restart. Looks okay, set. Okay, let's create our forwarders. Okay, so DJ dash Linux. So UF, and I could have this, so still be a medium. Then make sure, yep, these are my forwarders. Everything is good there. Increase them to 2 as well. The launch. So my forwarders again, 01. Zero two. All right, my deployment server. Let's make sure. So my indexers, let's make sure they have started. Let's give them a little bit time. But you get what we are doing here. You get, I mean, the script is working. I feel like it is just a bug there. Something at the end where on the restart, it did not restart correctly, but it did everything we want. And you can see we didn't have to go to any instance and go through the steps. It did everything, sets even our OS username for us. So this is how you get your environment running in no time. Again, you want to only do this. You only want to start using the script. That's why you're building your own script. So, I mean, I trust if you can build your own script and use it, you understand the commands. So again, if you don't feel comfortable with the commands, running those, all the different commands and installing Splunk, I would advise you use those commands. That's why I say this week, it's not a must that you have to use the script. So I don't care if you're installing Splunk with a script or not, as long as you are comfortable, that's you. So you can use the time if you don't want to bother yourself with a script right now and still just study the concept that you don't know. Make sure you understand the configurations in the deployment server, how that is done, how you can, go through and configure everything via deployment server, even collect data. Make sure you can get that down. Okay, with SSH into one of the indexers. Or just try to log in, because we didn't stop the web. So let's see if we are able to. Okay. So Splunk is there, it's extracted. So Splunk is not running. So that part did not work. So maybe it just does not like it could be that it's just
Could you please interpret the line 41 again, please? Like interpret the script line. I don't understand it.
The only thing we're doing is restarting Splunk. So that's the command.
I'm talking about the reason why we use -u, the reason why we're using Splunk user there, the reason why, because I feel like when you're restarting Splunk, it tells it asks for the username, the Splunk username, and the admin name and the password, right? So in this, let's say I try to restart Splunk. Let's say something prompted me to restart Splunk. I have to put the admin name and the password, right? So in this line 41, what is the interpretation of that? I would like to know, please.
Okay, let me do this. Maybe.
So because I feel like if I can interpret it, I'll understand what the problem is.
I think I know what is going on here. there's nothing to interpret here. What are we doing? The same things do you understand the line 38?
Yes, sir.
So it's the same. All of this is the same. We're using sudo user Splunk because we want to execute the command as Splunk, right?
Mhm.
That's what we have here. We are running a Splunk command, opt Splunk bin Splunk, and then restart. Restart is just we're restarting the application Splunk.
Okay.
I think we don't need maybe to provide the
Password, exactly.
authentication. So when Splunk stops, when it's starting, it does not, so it's
Does not ask for password.
that. So let's remove that. I think that is what is causing here. So when Splunk stops, when it tries to start up again, it's not looking for that
Password.
username and password. So
Yes.
that's why.
We
I
just
think that's why. I think that's why. So, but we can prove that. So this is not running, definitely.
except if you
To
change
prove
something
that,
from
so to prove that, we can do a quick, so let's do a search it. Or we can do, I mean, let's do other forwarders, right? So let me do this. No, let's do a search it. So that's correct. Let's just remove this. I think that is the problem. The authenticating I'm telling it to do in the restart command. I think that's why. So it stops Splunk, and then it is starting up and it says I use the command to stop and then restarting. I mean, what is the password? I mean, there is a logic there that is not working. I think that's the case. So let's copy that. Let's call this sh. Oh. So it's not up, so it's not going to, I mean, show up there. And we know the only way we can see the servers here is when they're running, right? So definitely we'll not see them connected. But if what we're saying here is the problem, our new machine should show up on our deployment server. So let's call this Sadija-sh, right? So we'll just create one in this case. Okay, yeah, Sadija-sh. So let's create that. So all we need to do for this indexer, we know it's good. All we need to do is start it. So it should start showing up. Any questions?
I have a little unrelated question. It's related, but not related to the script. I wanted to know how many persons can log into a Splunk instance at a time. So like you have an indexer up, you can log in, I can log in, can 4 more persons log into that same instance?
When you say login, do you mean SSH? Or do you mean access the web server?
It has to be SSH, right?
Yeah, SSH and then access the web server. Like,
So
It-
accessing the web server. Okay, finish, please.
no, go ahead. I think I'm done for now.
Okay, so accessing the web server, you don't have a limit.
Yeah.
That is or is only limited to the resources that you have. So and I mean resources, that is the power of the searcher that you have. Let's say that's why when you are building your environment, you would work with, I mean, you would have an architect, a Splunk architect, and also you'd have your Splunk client support team. They would work with you and look at, for example, how many users do you have in your in your company? How many users do you expect to be accessing Splunk and, day to day, and use the resources in Splunk? So if you say I have 100 people that I think will be using Splunk, they would advise you, due to that, the request for 100 people to be able to use this server, you need 3 searches, you need 2 searches. So the amount of people that can log into the search at the same time is just limited to the amount of resource that is available to the search. Now, on the end of doing an SSH, that's dependent on the clients that you're using. And I mean here the SSH clients. Like, for example, I have seen if you're using remote desktop to access a machine, right? Sometimes it's only a single person that can access it at a time. You will not allow another person to be on it. But some utility, SSH or utilities can give you access to use multiple people, like 5 people at a time. We have free versions of these clients. We have paid versions. We have everything. It depends to the client and what rules they have, whatever restrictions. And I think the company can work with them on that. So how many people you think should be able to log into this machine at the same time? They can set those. All those are rules that they can set, in the when they are setting up your product. So you see our indexer, that one that we restarted is showing up. That one that we started, that one that came, and all we need was starting. The searcher that we created should start showing up as well. Let me see if that one, if we're able to log into it. But yeah, on doing SSH, it depends on what is set for that machine.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. So you see, so here I'm able to access my searches. So meaning it was able to install Splunk on it. So let's see if it was able to connect to the deployment server as well. This takes time. It has started up and everything is going to now try to establish the connection to the deployment server. Eventually it should report here. But this is the script. So what we were doing wrong, thank you there, Femi, for pointing it out, is referencing this authentication, telling it to authenticate whilst restarting. So it was not expecting that. So it would stop the machine, and when it's starting it up, it would then have issues on this authenticating and it would not start. So what we needed to do is just remove that. Now it is starting up, and we know we just created our searcher. We can see that we're able to launch it. Eventually our searcher should show up here, right there. You see, we have Sadija SH. So the searcher that's connected. So we see that is true. I'm going to do one indexer. So, I mean, even before doing that, so you can see here, what have I created here? With these 2 scripts here, I can do anything now, anything here. So the way I set up my environment, like when I'm preparing for class, the first instance I create, because at the point that we are right now, we're dealing with deployment servers, managing everything via the deployment server. So I'll come and configure my deployment server first. So I'll come here, set the name here, DS, and you generate that for me, and then disable this because I don't want the deployment server to connect to itself. Disable this, right? Copy the script, run that. It would create the deployment server. I would then log on to the deployment server, the web, see here that is working, everything. Now get the IP of my deployment server, you know, because I need the IP to create the other machines. Copy the IP of my deployment server, come up here, add that IP. I know that that's the IP and I'm referencing it here. Uncheck that, you know, uncheck that, that's enabled now. Now say, I want to create the other instances. Now I want to create my indexers. I want to create 3 indexers. So I say here, IDX. I want to create 3 or not. So all I need to do now is change the name. So I do them by stage. Do the index as 3 because I need the indexers to be named in a different way. And then I'm done with the 3 indexers. Go create them. Boom, boom, copy the script. Copy this. So indexers. So we can do index. Let's just add that S there so we know we have new ones. So now copy that. And then now we know this is enabled. Go again to my EC2 instance, create a new instance, you know, put in everything, you know, go to my user data, you know, user data is up here, paste that script, create my indexers. After the indexers have been launched and they're running, I go here, change it here to SH for searches, create my searches, done with that. And then if I need any other instances, I do it that way, create all of them. For the forwarders, because I know the commands have to be different, that's why I have a different script for it. And also the package needs to be different. So that's why you cannot use the same script for both the forwarder. Remember, the package for the forwarder is different as the full instance. So for the forwarder again now, this I don't need to change here. I know my forwarder. For forwarder, it would always be UF, right? If it's Linux or not. But again, this only works for Linux. Remember, this bash script is a Linux terminal thing. So this script only works on Linux. We have not created, and we said Splunk is 80% Linux. So we have not created a script for Windows. We didn't go into that because, as we say, Splunk Windows is not heavily used in in deployments. So that's why we created a script for this. So again, copy my script, go create my forwarders. Again, create those. So I can do 3 stages. First, deployment server, and then copy that, go to my indexers, and then my searchers, and then my forwarders, and then my Windows forwarders. So after that, when everything is done now, because I have added, in all the clients, I've told them to connect to my deployment server via this command, I'll see all of them here. So this is when we start the class, I'll show you, oh, this is my dashboard, I've set up my environment. So now it's just for me to start creating my apps and server classes and deploy them. So that's why I say, when you get to a point where you're comfortable, you're comfortable with installing Splunk, put together your script. Put together a script. And you can add multiple commands here. You don't need to use the commands always. If what you're doing, that command is not needed, just comment it. Then it will not be used. If I am doing something that does not require a deployment server, I don't need this command, I'll just comment it. I'm not connecting it to a deployment server. Maybe this was an indexer I want to manually tell it to set up. I can just add another command here that says enable listen and set that. This is a forwarder. I'm just saying if it was an indexer or whatever, or this forwarder, I wanted to tell it to connect to my indexers. I can add a command there and say add forward server and set the IP addresses of my indexers. It's just now I have decided to use the deployment server to do all of the other things. That's why the only thing I'm doing here is creating, the script and launch all these instances quick. I don't have to waste time on them. Femi, I see your hand up.
Yes, sir. You had said earlier that we can't use the script if at work, that's not possible. So, is there a way when we're working that if you have to create like multiple units, universal forwarder, UF. Is there another way to do it faster than just going about it manually, like the regular random way of installing it?
Yeah, so there are a lot of scripts that we even have a lot of utility. We have Ansible. Ansible can manage a whole deployment, hundreds of servers. You can spin up hundreds of servers and install and manage Splunk on them. You can use different Python scripts and a lot of different ways to do it. You can use GitLab to, after launching and creating your instances, and even add configurations there. And this is the bare minimum we're doing on the script. We can even, I could create a whole script and call it my deployment server script. All the apps that I will be creating here, I can create those apps via my script. I could add them here, add the configurations, and tell it to go create the app and put it in the app and all of that. Again, that would be a lot. If it's something you are interested in, you want at the end of the class, when you are like gurus, we can set, those are the what we call classes to just maximize your your skills. When you're at a point where you want to do that, we can have a class like at the end and just do those things. There are a lot of things that we'll do at the end where you're not required to come. This is not, I mean, it's just a good to know, like nice to know. We can do all of that. This is bare minimum. We can add a lot on the script, but this right now is to tell you that you can launch the instance and have it running where you can see here, I have multiple machines now. Let's say if all these machines had worked, if I come back here, I would have 6 machines. I would not need to go SSH into all these machines and install Splunk. I can easily do this. So that's what you're saving yourself here. Just installing Splunk and now have everything on the deployment server and manage them there. So Thursday when we come, I would show you how to even implement the script. Let's say you create an instance. You can decide to create the instance, create it without adding your script here. You didn't add it here, create the instance and go to the instance itself, SSH into it, and then copy the file, just this script that we have created, take it into your instance and then make it executable, make it to run and then install Splunk for you. And you can even, when it's doing it, we can even do, we can tell it to show us why it's doing it. We can see the steps. When we say this metrics where all these things are happening behind the scene, we'll see what it's doing. I mean, fancy, really nice. We'll see that Thursday. And again, these are things that are not too needed. I don't want to labor. So when we come first, I would talk through configuration files, the precedence and all that. And then if we have time after that, we'll talk about the scripts, the other part of the scripts. But yeah, this is what I wanted to cover today. Any of the questions? All right, stop the recording or stop the